Yes, family, blessed love. Give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Of course, you already see what time it is here. We definitely glorify the Father and the Mother of creation. Definitely, of course, you know, positive, negative, electric charge and positive energy all the way. Of course, you're in the Tiger's Nest. Honorable Priest Isaac here with you. And I have a special one with us this evening. We have the Honorable Priest Douglas Smith sitting in with us. And of course, you know, when the Honorable Priest comes into the nest, it's all about reasoning and upful meditation and just vibration. So that is what we're going to go into this evening. And family, again, give thanks for your presence. I just coming in off of an interview that I did. I'll be uploading the interview that I did with News Code just a moment ago, as it relates to the international essay competition that we are doing. As I said, I'll be uploading that video. I wouldn't even go into all of that now. Those of you who are interested, you'll be able to see it sometime after you watch this video here. But anyway, let's go straight into it. Honorable Priest Douglas Smith, of course, you know, we affectionately call him Honorable Priest Dougie. Blessed, my Lord.
Blessed Kingston. Yeah, man. Give thanks. Our listenership. Yeah, man. Blessed and love, you know.
Give thanks for being in the presence again, man. It's always a joy to sit. Although I know they are doing, well, you're always doing enough works. And even on this kind of platform, I know you've been sitting in with the study group very regularly. I myself am always listening. I may not get it live because of different, you know, obligations, but I definitely, even if it's in the night or the next day, try my best to take in them 4 hours or whatever it is worth of reasoning, I must say. So give thanks, you know, even as one of the, well, you know, we are all becoming elders, so we're stepping up on the eldership. I know you have much more elders more than the I, but yeah, you have your own level of the eldership. Me too, you know, because the young ones, them that just coming in is elder, they calling me, I can't tell them stop. So we just have to take our responsibility. So give thanks, you know, even to be with a strong one like Prophet Daniel, you know what I mean? I know there is a great strength even to him. But yes, my Lord, I know we both kind of collaborated on the invitation for this program, you know. So I know we both have things we want to express. But, you know, previously I did a program, you know, I've been reasoning kind of, I would say back and forth with the Honorable Priest Harry. And, you know, he is definitely one of our elders and one of our ambassadors within this Congress. And he's always been sharing some good words with I. Somehow we haven't really linked to do the interview as yet, but I know that's in time. He's definitely shared some documents that I would have read as well. And it seemed like somewhat surprising to him. There's an audio recording which he himself was speaking on the audio. And it got around and I took that audio and I presented it to my audience for sure when he was speaking about the African mission. I must say I had Brother Honorable Priest Rittman on the program too, about a year ago. And he also was speaking about that African mission. And, you know, sometimes we tend to overlook that, you know, but that African mission from 91, 92, you know, to me, that has really superimposed into the Congress that we have today, you know, and even the state of the Congress, because most times you speak about state of affairs, somehow that Africa mission comes in, specific names are called, and, you know, things turn, because remember, that's a mission King Emanuel called for just before he make a move, you know. So, as the eye is always definitely a well of information and of course integral in a lot of these things that a lot of us just talk about. I wanted to, you know, hear from your point of view, and I know you're eager to express exactly, you know, what you could share with us as it relates to that African mission, my Lord. Blessed love.
Yeah, give thanks. The African mission, which is the ultimate mission.
True.
You don't know the work of the Father preparing us, you know, for return home. So that's the ultimate mission. Initially, it was named the Gospel Bells Mission, you know, and like I said, the Father is the one who authorized the mission. you know, constructed by man and man and man, because, you know, that's how this thing go. One might think that the father sit down there and do everything himself, but that is why him have his apostles and his saints and his, you know, his archangels and his priests and, you know, so forth, to advise him and bring good ideas to the table, that he, you know, looks at those ideas and approve them, you know, or add to them or subtract from them, whatever is needed. So it was constructed around a set of I myself being a part of it, Honorable Priest Turks another part of it, Honorable Priest Harry, Honorable Priest Campbell, you know, are all part of it, Priest Richie, all part of it, you know, Priest Giffey, you know, Priest Bannick, eventually Priest Jackie joined as well and ended up on the continent. But the initial constructing was really a lot of reasoning between I and the father, myself, you know, differently from Priest Turks, who is the father's architect in those areas. You know, the father and I had a lot of reasoning in trying to draft up how the camp itself was to be laid out. That I and I got Priest Vernon, who was an architect by trade, to do the schematics for I, and also how the government was to be laid out, and how we were to function as returning, you know, African children, you know, coming home. You know, he laid out all of those, you know, protocols and reasoning, constantly, you know, dialoguing about how it must go, because it was very important to him. And the reason I think he decided to make that move, because remember, originally the stand of the Congress and the father was no migration scheme. Jah rejected several other invites to migrate to the continent or to visit the continent, you know.
True.
And Jah rejected them because he said him not leaving his people down here. See, him securing the return of the 144 and many more who need to return home. But as a natural man facing, you know, the frailties of the human temple, our father acknowledged that his work was coming to a close. You know, and there's many signs to attest to that. You don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the events that took place surrounding his passing or just before his passing. Like I said, he switched from the anti-migration scheme to sending a migratory body there to establish a repatriation system. Now, migration wasn't what he was promoting, but he realized with his time drawing close, you know, he wanted to see a start. Something he said to I personally, which was, it is better to have 1 foot on the continent than the 2 foot down here in hell. So he made that move of putting 1 foot on the continent by sending over a delegation to establish 3 campsites, one in Nigeria, one in Ghana, and one in Ethiopia.
True.
So that was the origin of that mission. Give thanks. We had a brethren who have passed on now, which I cannot stop reasoning about. And the Congress, you know, must immortalize for his charitable love. You know, it's Michael, who we, you know, lovingly call Priest Mooney. Priest Mooney was a financier, was a hard businessman, a hard hustling businessman that spent his earnings among his family, his BOBO family. You see, as I and I all do from time to time when we were called upon. But he and I partnered up during that period to do some hustling specifically to support the Africa mission, which we did, and give thanks to the blessing of the Father. Our endeavors were fruitful and we were able to do what we did. Anyway, the establishing of the camp in Ghana especially was to be the headquarters of the EABIC, according to the father, not Iman. Now, whatever
Ghana,
I am
not
going to share here is not, whatever I'm going to share here is not of I self. I'm just giving the item the information that I was privileged to.
And just to be clear,
so
you're saying that King Emanuel was
establishing
saying
of the Ghana camp.
Yeah, you're saying that King Emanuel was saying, I think that's what you're going to say. That, yeah, you're saying that King Emanuel was saying, I hear you good, eh? But King Emanuel was saying that Ghana should be the headquarters. That's what you're saying.
You know, so I'm not hearing your priest.
At all, at all?
The audio gone.
The mic is not muted. Okay, you hear me at all?
I'm not hearing you.
Okay, tell you what, you go ahead speak. Oh my, go ahead speak. Go ahead speak.
Not hearing you. I'm gonna log off and log on. Log off and log on.
Okay, all right, no problem. Go ahead. Yeah, log off and log on. All right, while the priest log off and log on, I definitely put in my thing together here. You know, he was definitely on a roll. I know how it is as a speaker when you're on a roll. You know, you don't always want to be interrupted. And I did not want to interrupt him at all. And I think, you know, I think his point was clear, but maybe he would have missed some. So I just wanted to make sure that he could have repeated that. And if I'm not mistaken, what the brother was saying is that, yes, King, you hearing me now?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Sometimes it's not a perfect science. Sometimes technology fails.
Yeah, so I was just saying, you know, to clarify what you're saying, that King Emanuel said, you know, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Ghana, but he's looking for Ghana. And your video is not showing either, but he's looking for Ghana to be the headquarters. That's where I stopped you. Sorry to interrupt the speaker. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Ghana was determined to be the gateway as the first free state, you know, just say gateway. So I should enter through there. And as we say, in reality, Ghana is the most favorable state towards returning residents. You know, you can make your way, you can, you know, assimilate into the society there easier than certain places.
Yes.
We will and have to create those same welcoming, you know, systems in other states by working with these other states and collaborating with them and showing them the benefits of what we bring in returning home, you know, which is the reality of life, because each state is already struggling. So they want to know whoever is coming in there is coming to add something to their development and not just to subtract from it. You know, so we will have to show those type of, you know, that's part of the whole repatriation plan and program. But as I and I were saying, Ghana, the gateway, was supposed to be the HQ of the EABIC going forward in the 21st century, as the father had determined it. He had said that he was finished with any development in Jamaica and was just abiding for that moment when, you know, the full hour of repatriation would be upon I and I. See, so he sent his emissaries now into the continent to establish camps, to interact with the people and build a bridge so the masses could find their way home, you know, across those bridges. Because as he had determined, and I, even in I own research and knowledge base, repatriation has two practical methods to it. It's either person to person, which meaning you knowing someone there cannot assist you by either putting you up for a period of time or helping you to find reasonable living space and so forth, and making your transition easier. Or it is a government to government process where we now have to, where we are at, meaning the nation state that we are domiciled in the West, would have to now reach out to the continent and negotiate with the different states on how repatriation could best be done without, you know, put it this way, smoothly, could be smoothly done. So that's the government to government principle of it. See? So in that understanding, the father sent his emissaries to do the footwork, find the link them, forge the relationships that need to be. And at the same time, the people would see the light of him through I liberty and glorify him and welcome us now as we come home, because they would see the benefit and the glory of what I is all about. So yeah, that don't want to be long-winded on that point, but that is the essence of us transitioning from
Stick a bit.
the West And there was a lot of controversy about that. It's there. We don't have no headquarters down here. We don't have nowhere down here. The father said, no have nowhere down here, you know. The man said, we always have a backpack because at any moment when, you know, that freedom bus, I must be ready to walk away from anything we have in the Western Hemisphere. You understand? We are willing to give up anything that we have here to return to the continent. So to be practical, we must establish an headquarters there. So that is what the father did. Now, as everyone knows, it has not been a smooth running or a smooth transition.
For sure.
So some of the power, a lot of the power, some of the power still abide here in the West because Africa, the headquarters, has not been functioning at its optimum, being able to represent the Congress on the level that the Congress needs to be represented. So we are in that transition phase right now where camp still lingers on limpingly, and Africa is struggling along. This is a call now as well to the international BOBO family to step up and look at the Africa mission, because that is what the father left us on. His work was fulfilling Marcus Garvey's work. Marcus Garvey's work was getting African people to return to their place of origin, you know, our continent. And the emperor's job was to prepare the continent for the homecoming of I and I. See, they have all done their job. It's I and I now to finish the last leg, seen by fulfilling the mission that was started, getting the Congress functional in both places, because until we have repatriated, there's still a need for representation here and agitation here in the West. You know, but there is also a need for representation there in Ghana and negotiations, not just in Ghana, but on the continent, and negotiations with the nation states, so we can smoothly transition and be a part of the functioning body, help to be part of the decision-making process as well. You know, wherein we abstain from politics here and government function here on the continent. That's our home. That's ours. We don't abstain from nothing that is going to help us to function better and to develop. So we are going there to be a part of all the development processes that will help the African nation to rise again.
Yes, my lord. So let me ask, unless you're coming through very clear, so I know everyone will understand everything, but there's a little wind blowing in the phone. Not really distorting what you said, to be very honest. I guess maybe
I am on the beach. I'm right down on the beach. I will be here, you know. I am on the beach. I will be here. That is what.
True.
Yeah.
You can go through. I know sometimes I know how it is in radio and TV, you know, you're like comfortable listening. And you know them kind of way. So, but we can get it, man. Whoever wants to know will know what you're saying here, because it's very clear, very clear. So, okay, but I want to be clear with a few points here. So, what you're saying that the father wanted Ghana to be the headquarters, or are you saying that from your perspective, sitting with him, the impression you get is that even though he didn't go, the headquarters don't move a Ghana? Because your words were, we ain't got no headquarters down here. And as I say, you're right by the beach at Bull Bay, so your down here is right there.
Lord, like I said, I think you'll hear less wind now.
Yeah, definitely. Give thanks to that, man. No respect. Sorry to have to take it from the nature, but
that's all right. That's all right. I am not sharing anything of my opinions here. You know, if I'm going to share my opinions, I will state that this is a personal opinion, because I'm not trying to convert anyone, you know. I'm just trying to share information, and the ones that can go research and check it out for themselves. And look at even the practicality of the statement. You know, even if you don't have no tangible evidence, look at the practicality, use common sense and look at the practicality of the statement. If Africa is our destination, and the father realized that him about to make him move, you know, what would he naturally do? What would he naturally do? Remember now, you know, the angel them that him sent on that first mission, you know, was some of the hardcore soldier them that him had around him, you know. Paper soldier.
Yeah. Turks.
Him send man like Priest Jackai. Him send man like Priest Giffy, Priest Bannick. Those two man, Priest Giffy and Priest Bannick, were the only two that I man know that the father gave Minister of Services title to, you know.
Minister of Services.
Yes, my lord. And I say I can speak for both of them, and I can speak more so for Priest Giffy, because I learned a lot of what I am right now from that brethren. Because I happened to just room with him when I first landed in camp, and he's such a loving brethren that I never really leave his friendship, no time at all, no matter where I was in earth. We maintain communication. See, I see that man rock 21 day ISIS, okay, and I see that man minister every night, and every day I'm gone on the road, gone sell broom and take care of business. See, you know, when him get the rest between on the bus from Bull Bay to Kingston is when them get him rest, you know. The man, the minister, straight throughout the night till morning, brethren. The man, they don't come off a altar till the ship land. See, and them kind of soldier that the father sent to the continent. Some serious soldier, Priest James, some serious soldiers. So when I see Jah make them move there, that tell I something, you know. That tell I say Jah is preparing him camp yard on the continent, because I'm not sending best soldier them and leave him camp. You understand? That is one sign. The next sign is that
great point.
In 1993, December the 10th, he held what is known as the Feast of the Passover.
Yes, man.
I was personally, me and Priest Irel were personally sent an invitation. We got in the mail, and we also got a call from the camp itself stating that the father said, not I and I should, but I and I must come in for this. So yes, even though things wasn't rosy and pretty, because we had not too long come from down there and, you know, just did some work with the father and spent up some money, and I still make the effort and reach in.
So you were right there for the 10th. Okay.
Yeah, and everyone know that the Feast of the Passover is when the man of our child is when the Christ energy I go make it move to the next realm. So that again, we have never experienced that in the history of the
but quickly there. And the 10th of December feast, it was referred to as the Feast of the Passover at that time, isn't it? Not afterwards, like.
I told you I was sent an invitation. And on the top of the invitation, it says an invitation to the Feast of the Passover of the Black Christ.
I tell you, yes, my Lord.
Mm-hmm. These are realities I'm giving you. I kept that invitation on my wall for many years. I guarantee if I look through my documentation, move from place to place. But I guarantee if I look through my documentation, it is there, because I would not throw away something like that. See, so like I said, it was a great moment, but it was also a significant moment, because we, as priests, never experienced that before. We never had a feast of the Passover before. We never did any physical sacrificing before, seeing animals, because we are italists. See, the only thing that Bobo at that time partake of was fish, and that is for those who partake of the fish. See, so now when we see animal getting sacrificed, and Jah gave detailed, mandates of how to do the sacrifice, what time it was to be done, what was to be done with what, and all of that. Every detail was given by Dada how to do it.
You can give us some of the details before you move on. Anything you can do.
Like the goat itself, the goat was to be killed.
Wow, see how the man might just mute there while Jah living. Yeah, man, powers in him. No, man, they are talking truth, man. Nothing wrong with what he's saying, but trust me, man, it's energy. I'm gonna explain later, man. The same burial they said after the father. Man said they were doing video camera. And after the world, when man go and check the camera and nothing there. Yes, my Lord, it cut out when you were saying the goat was supposed to be killed, and he just locked off.
But you see how the energy stay though. You see how the energy stay. Man. Yes, I am. it was at 12 o'clock, the goat was to be killed and the blood was to be run into the dirt of the camp where the sacrifice was made. You know, and as you know, 12 o'clock is our Psalms reading, Iowa. So that was to all take place during the Psalms reading going on and all of that. So these are things that I had never experienced before. See,
oh, this mystic, you know, I'm not putting on the spot, but this, can I just do my research? The 10th of December, if I'm not mistaken, was supposed to have been a Friday. But from accounts, I hear one account, I don't count the name at the moment, but one's account that the goat was actually slaughtered on the Sabbath. I mean, I'm just telling you what I've heard.
No, well,
there's a priest Ian is who do that slewing there.
If the 10th was the Friday, it's the 10th. Because whatever day the 10th was, I'm going to tell you this factually and no gesturing. I was here.
Okay, fair enough. We move forward.
Whatever the 10th was, that was when it was done, my brother.
And it was Psalms reading too. Because we know Psalms reading to go up Sabbath 12. That's why I brought that point in for those who don't.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough, man. Good reasoning.
So, yes, so that again is a sign that the man was getting ready to move. So all of these are signs that the father set up. When he called for a parliament and a committee to run in business, a sign again, you know. Prior to that, him called for a constitution. All of these are signs, just as the emperor, Haile Selassie, gave signs of his progression and his evolution to his transition, you know, from visual, you know, presence. You know, the same. If you track it with Dada, you see the same kind of sign markers along the way. You understand? So, but because I was caught up in religion or the religious understanding of I liberty and not the spiritual understanding of it in that sense. When I say that now, ones might cringe. What I mean by that is, even though we are Rastafari, our transition into the full Ethiopianness or full Christ self takes a time. And because we are coming out of 500 years of Christendom influence and infusion into I, it is taking a moment to come out. So a lot of I come in to the Rastafari liberty scene. What we do is we blackwash the whiteness. We still have that religious, you know, kind of mindset in I, and we don't get to that point yet where we totally shed it and be able to look through our Ethiopian spectacle for see I one reality. So because of that, I was not looking at the signs of the time and being realistic. So look at the father. I might know the father when the father was strong and moving through carrying I on delegation, go to different places, whether it is Gleaner Company or UN office or wherever. See, until I see the father sit up and can't move. Till I see the father not even being able to visual nothing. That means him cataract and them thing they impede certain things. So I man see the progression of human frailties and the father. But because I was caught up in these things and Rasta can't die and Dada can't and all of these things that we believed at that time. We were not seeing the reality. Now, when the father reached to a certain level, that reality was evident. You know, for those of I who have some form of consciousness working with, and we are individual thinkers, those of us that didn't buy into the group dynamics, and I could see that the father's time was drawing near. See, and that the works of the father at that time became very important to put through what he said. You understand? Because he always told us, you know, if he pass and leave us down here in hell, it's going to be a ifam bamba here. And you know, so we see even up to this hour, you know, going near 30 years after man transition. And
so wait, you know, have to jump in. King Emanuel, he said like that if he passed away, or he say they make me leave it down here. Yeah.
Well, if you want to interpret it that way, I do have a problem with that.
No, remember King, King.
Both of them mean the same thing.
I know, you know, but trust me now, in all humility, as the eyes said, the eyes sit and talk with him for length. You know what I mean? I could tell you I know the man personally, but let's talk realistically. I never meet the man. So if the eye tell me the man say Don't make me
Man,
pass away and leave me down there. I can't debate there, you know.
yeah, the man say if him try and left I and I bridge, if him
Right.
pass I and I going to be in hot waters. So I and I must make here while the sun shines.
Right,
I tell you,
true,
say our me and the father last moment where I would say the first and only time the father have ever really chastised I was on our last visit before he got down, before he came real down and ill. When I and Priest Cyril step into the room for bless up the father as we first enter the camp on that visit there, the father ease up out of him throne and said, what the item I do here in this judgment? What the item still I do here? Him say, man, like the item supposed to make on a way is. Him say, Virgin, I done with down here, you know. I not kneeling another nail upon the hill here. Him say, as a matter of fact, and I'm giving you, this is verbatim now, you know.
I hear
Him say,
you.
He says, as a matter of fact, when I return to the congregation in Florida and in the US, give them the word that all who can afford to pay their ticket and make their way to the continent must do so because I'm done with the West. That was his talk to I. I can't tell you what he said to anybody else. Every man have to give them testimony. And I am not going to negate anybody's testimony. I given the item. I'm on testimony of what I am Priest Cyril, who can testify to this experience with the Father. See? And the man, what in that reasoning, him say to I, man, you think you can save the world in this judgment? You can't even save yourself. That the man said to I, you know. See it? Reason being, and I can share that, no problem in sharing, because there's no shame. There's no shame to learning. See, the reason being, him know say I and I love the community work and always working amongst the community and always doing things in the community. And it's about that. And him know say that's why I and I still around trying to do work. So I'm saying to I and I now, as one of him worker, I have many workers, but as one of him worker, him saying to I and I, my brethren, you alone can do this. It's better if you go serve on the continent now. You understand? Since you can make your way, since you can find a ticket and most can't, make your way over and go start build the bridge with the man them who did it. It's really what he was saying to in fatherly terms, but being stern with his representation that time and take it serious and don't just take it as a little gesture. See? So that was the father's, in the last half, he saw the reality, you know, and he wanted to make sure that his gospel mission, remember saying when teacher and I know, the EABIC, the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, is the Ethiopian embassy in the West. So his duty as the ambassador is to prepare I and send I on. You understand? So that is what he was doing. And when he saw that his time drawing near, he made the ultimate move of placing his soldiers on the continent to continue on that work. Because I know, say if he never did do that, we would have it stuck. We wouldn't have had a foot in Africa right now. Mama Lily and all of those who did it would not be there. You understand? So it wasn't by coincidence, my lord. So that in itself is the Africa move.
So where we be now on that mission then? I mean, and I'm putting you on this partner, but I know that, well, I believe that he has visited the continent a couple of times. I don't know. I could, well, you'd have to correct me. But outside of you personally, can the man ask you what you're still doing here? I don't even find that as a chastisement to a degree, you know, but you're there, you're the one that received it, so you know what you get. But outside of you personally, so where is that mission now then? From what you see to where we are? Where that mission?
And I just say you talk to one of the man, one of the ambassador, that is Priest Harry.
Yes, Priest Harry, yes.
Priest Harry and Priest Rich is supposed to be in Kenya, doing their thing in Kenya. Now, even though Justin and I to establish those 3 original camps, we are priests, we are taught to go wherever the spirit carry I and to rise the army wherever I and I are. Now you have Bridget like Priest Murdoch in South Africa. See, you have Priest Turks in Ghana, Priest Bannock in Ghana. Now you have soldiers join them like Priest Glass and Priest Irel is there as well now. You know, you have Priest Boona, one of the father's son, who is also there. You know, Priest Knuckles as his resident there. His wife is there right now. He's back and forth.
Rastafari.
So you have all of I heading in that direction right now. You know, as we get to a certain stage in our life.
And some man in Ethiopia too.
Yes, you have Priest Maurice Obabo.
Of course.
You know, known as Priest Paul, one of the chief ambassadors of that original mission. He's still there with Mama Lily and with Priest Shanai them and Priest Shadow and Bridging like that. So you have a whole heap of ones still.
Can't forget Priest Kevin and them ones there too, you know.
Yeah, a whole heap of ones. A whole heap of ones. Young ones and older ones holding up. The problem is there is no administration to tie the mission in together. See, what is lacking is the administration of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. Each camp might have its leaders, you know, but you have to have a parliament that ties that in together to make all the fingers on the arm work together in unison to achieve their ultimate. And we don't have that. Now, because of the void of leadership, there is power struggle taking place here in the Western Hemisphere right now, where another one of the father's son, Jesus, you know, is making a what you call a power play, what they would consider a hostile takeover in a sense. I'm just gonna be frank, you know, even though I'm Priest Dougie.
You thanks for King Frank guy, you know.
Yes, truly. Yes, yeah, man. But to be frank about this whole situation, you know, the Congress is not a legacy, an inheritance. It's a legacy for the Black world of people, not a family legacy. It is not something where the throne is passed down from bloodline to bloodline. That is not what a Congress is, nor a church. Okay, if ones know the principles of a Congress and the principles of a church and the protocols that govern them, you know, that is not how this works. First of all, the Congress was built and maintained by the congregation. Dada didn't get up and do everything himself. It's ones who contributed their 10 part to the maintenance of the Congress and the growth of the Congress. His physical strength and I use for chop wood, you know, chop posts, for build fence, for build house, and all of them things there is the ones and ones did it, is the congregation did it, is the followers who did it. The Congress is for the people, not for no bloodline. Now the father left the principles that should govern and guide this Congress. The man left a committee and the man left a parliament. It was never seated, but he left the protocols, he left everything in place, the methodology in how it should function. We just have not been obedient children to do what our father said.
I could come in here in to be fair to the Honorable Priest Jesus. Is his because it's years now this little thing going on, and I'm lending my ear. Is it that he's leaning on the bloodline thing, or is it that he is seeing himself as a responsible son? Like all of us see that, hey man, this thing could be a little better. And he, I guess, to who he is, should not just be, hey, this can be a little better. If nobody taking it up, let me take it up. I that's the impression I usually kind of get from what he's saying. You can straighten me
I do have no problem with that, you know, but you see,
right.
You see, what I have a problem with is when you start to speak, like how I hear his voice notes have been sounding these last days. Now that sister is with him. He has this sister that is his advisor, I guess. And she presents herself as being intelligent, which she is, or maybe, but then she's also young and doesn't have the knowledge and experience to be the kind of advisor that Jesus needs. Now, if you want to take up your father work, you don't come to the congregation with the arrogance of a son saying this is your father thing and your father thing. No, it's all our thing. All our labor feet. I come there at 12 and look at my age right now, and I've given it, my all. You understand? And when enough ones who know I know when I come a hill, ones know I deal with the hill. You understand? Back in the day, I don't ramp. You understand? When I also here and I money spend there, as everything that, and I buying everything that I see the Congress need.
Even before I meet the idea, their name house come, is well known for that,
Yes, sir. So we were developing our government, so you can't come with that. What you have to come to with us is just saying now that my father thing is there and it now run proper. So as my elder brothers who were there with my father, make us sit down and see how we can get the father thing to function proper.
Natural.
If you say that to I can understand that, and I welcome you, and we sit down as our father's children and we discuss our father's business and come up with a working plan. But when you're going to do things like sending out a threat to Miami, the Miami branch, which is an authorized branch, which seemed like he's not even informed because he's saying it was not authorized. The father authorized it, and Priest Knuckle said it in his voice note. I was the one who the father gave the authorization to. I personally. See? So I know this. That was when I got my ambassadorship and my priesthood. Because a prophet cannot open a church, a prophet cannot rise a church. See? So that was when my whole fullness came into being. I was never one that was looking priesthood or looking anything. I was just a soldier willing to work to build the Congress. So and I never look no, and up to now and I still not looking any props or titles. We are workers, we love for work. All right, with that said, we were there, okay, with the father. The father taught us how the thing go. See? Now you can, after we get authorization to form our branch here in Miami, and we have been functioning, many elders have passed through here and can testify to the level of service that them experience, and to the brotherly and sisterly love as well that them experience here in Miami when the house was fully functioning. So saying that to say, it was 10 elder priests that walked with Dada that was here at the time. And they sat down and they came to the point of understanding of registering a church, registering it legally in the space here for a reason. Now, as priests and an order, these are the things that govern I and I. If we do something wrong, is either we transgress the law or we sin. If an action does not transgress the law, and it's not a sin, and it doesn't offend any individuals, why is it wrong? Because people lack understanding, because people lack the knowledge, from which they need to make decisions from, because you don't do your research and get the full understanding of things, because we are reactionary. We react to what we hear and we don't proact. No, we register the church here in the space for a reason. It gives us a legal entity as a church to do the things that we do here, because we feed the poor, the hungry, those homeless that are up on the street here. The BOBO house here feeds them. See, we do several community work here. Plus, in looking at building, to be able to get certain building here, you qualify when you are a registered church entity. No, we're not registered with no World Council churches. We're not registered with nobody else but the county of Broward. Broward County in Florida is who we are registered with. We are registered with them so we can function legally in Broward County in the space. Yeah. That is it. So one's making up all of this makeup thing and acting like we sell out and the father never did this and the father. No one, you can't tell seasoned priests who walk with the father who have lived with the father. Secondly, I'm going to share something which enough might not know, but ones like Priest Turks know this. He was there. There was a point when we were having some vehicle problem on the hill and we needed a truck. We needed another truck to replace the one that was down. And we decided, so we want to bring in an engine so we could have repaired the other truck to have two. So in sussing it out, we find that what we needed was in England, in UK. Now, to bring it in, when we check out, we were able to purchase it.
Check your mute there, right? You were able to purchase it.
So we would have been able to purchase it, but when we check out the importation fee, the tax that we would have to pay, seeing at the time them charging, you know, double where the truck worth. Okay, and other duties. So when we check it out, it was astronomical. Okay, the parts now we could bring in for a minimal cost, but the truck itself, until we found out, someone said to us, "But they are them not church, Bobo." Then if they are them at church, they are them registered as church, they are them as church, they are them can bring in them things without duty, you know, as a church. So Priest Turks and I went back to the father and reasoned with the father about it and about registering. And when certain brethren heard them was, hey, make up all kind of nice, so we are registered with the church, we are set out the Congress, we are registered with the World Council of Churches, and kind of what I would consider to be illiterate reasoning. Anyway, we did our due diligence and we found out the process and how it worked and how it functioned and everything, and brought back the information to the father. The father said, look into it further, because that don't sound like nothing that we couldn't do. Now, it didn't reach the point where the father gave us, because right after that is when the father took down, because we had, just before the father chart, we had bought the Benz, Priest Mooney, and ship it down, and I claim down and clear it with Priest Turks and carry it up a yard. See, we are looking to do now that this next transaction, and came up with this solution, and the father said to look further in it. The father wasn't like how people try to present him, you know, like our father was and locked in our box type of man, you know. Our father went after the information that you brought to him. Looked at the information and weighed the information and then made a decision according to that. See? So he valued I and I, that's why he valued certain ones, you know, because he could rely on Priest Turks to find out information. What Priest Turks couldn't find out, him call him bridge like I and I and said, check out this, and we would check it out and bring back the information. Our father wasn't a locked in the box, man. So saying all of that to say, registering a church in a specific area, see, as long as you're only registering as a faith-based organization, you are not selling out anything. What you are doing is really licensing yourself in the space. Just like how you have a driver's license. And if a man don't accept that, no man should have driver's license then, because you sell out to the state then, and you sell out to Babylon then. You understand? From I and I have passport and driver's license. That is what we have done. License ourselves, become legal so we can travel and drive. It's the same thing we do when we register a church in the space.
Yeah,
so of course. I'm saying all of that to say, no, this is where it come back to Jesus now, where Jesus sent out the sound, say, right now, I and I, he's shutting down. He is taking it on himself to shut down the Miami branch.
But hold on, before you say that, I just want to be something clear. So, so the Congress in Jamaica, as you're saying there, this was the first time the whole registration aspect in the land came up, and you brought it to King Emanuel, and it just never played out. But are you saying that the Miami branch, right? Wait, say that again.
And Ghana. And that is something that that was discussed with the father. You understand? The Ghana registration. These things were discussed with the father. No man never take up them thing upon them shoulder and just become, you know, some little wayward children and doing our own thing.
So these registration took place before he made that move? Ghana and Miami?
The reasoning about the registration took place. The Ghana registration could have taken place while the father was alive. I cannot attest to that 100%. Priest Turks could more give a clarity on that registration directly. You understand? But the principle of registering was something that was not tabooed by the father. What was tabooed when it was first suggested is that once thought that registering the church would be registering with the World Council of Churches.
Okay.
And that became a talk around the camp and a talk that went out. And you know how talks become twisted and added to and subtracted from. And that is how that whole thing about registration becomes a topic. See?
Of course.
But like I said, the father registered trucks and registered car and people drive passport. You know, we have to be practical about these things, and we have to be knowledgeable and don't react to things. Do our research and be intelligent about our actions. We are trying to make the best plans and the best acts for the Congress. None of us as congressmen want to do something wrong on behalf of the Congress or to shed any bad light on the Congress. You understand? Or do anything that is tabooed, that transgress the law or is a sin against our Father. What we are trying to do is to find 21st century approaches to our repatriation plan that fits in with the time, but doesn't detract from our liberty and our principles. That's what we are attempting to do. And in certain areas, that's why we do certain things. We must first get that understanding before we make judgment. Just like how I see people make judgment about Priest Paul and certain things that he has had to do for survival in Ethiopia. Until you walk a mile in a man's shoe, don't criticize because you don't know the circumstance. When you learn the circumstance, then you can make a conscious decision on whether you think the move was wrong or right. See, but as so far with even what Priest Paul has done, he is now the first citizen of Ethiopia as a returned resident. He's now the first, granted the first documentation. A BOBO, not a EWF, not a 12 tribe, not a BOBO. The rest of them have residency. Priest Paul have citizenship. Okay, and Priest Paul professes the ABIC same way as he did before he left camp, because I talk to him regularly and we talk as priests often about our office and about what we would love to see the Congress be. You understand? So I know that the man don't lose no love for him Congress. See, but we tend to be our own worst enemy. We tend to be so judgmental about one another. See, at least out of Babylon, the presumption is that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
I need to practice that amongst I and I self as well. Give your virgin the benefit of the doubt before you cast him down, Rasta. See, because all I and I who have walked over a period of years, we're not mad people who couldn't just come give a life to something like this. This is a restrictive liberty, you know. While the rest of the world is gallivanting around doing what they want to do. A BOBO, a SHANTI priest and empress lives to a certain discipline order that is very restrictive. You think I and I going to do that for so many decades, and we don't love we live, and we don't love we Congress, and we don't want to see our Congress at the pinnacle of existence? No, man, we would be crazy people, man.
Man. So like where we are now then now. I know you said the brethren trying to shut down camps and different things. Okay. But
he has more authority, so that we're not really
okay, but and where would you say the authority really is? Where is the authority? I know we have a parliament.
Parliament is what? The parliament is where the authority lies.
The current parliament, the online parliament.
There can't be a current parliament if there has not been a selection election.
Okay.
I can call myself anything, you know. I can call myself whatever, you know.
Anything.
I just posted on this the chat, the study group. I posted my ID. Okay, it's so funny, you know, Priest Isaac. Some years ago, I was accused, and I was brought to tribunal. Ones were questioning when and how did I get my priesthood and all of these different things. And I attended all of these tribunals to answer these charges and things, which were eventually found unfounded, and all who gave evidence gave evidence. Priest Giffey, before he passed, gave his sound. Priest Edley, all who knew the facts gave it. Anyway, It could have been solved so easily if I had presence of mind at the time. I was going through I have this pouch that I travel with when I'm traveling with all my important documents in it. I just have not gone through the pouch in years to say clean it out, throw out all some little cards that are no longer relevant and thing. I just been traveling with it same way. I decided that I was going to clean it out. And going through it, I come across this ID. The ID was as new and a shock to me as if I had just gotten it. See, not remembering that I got this directly from the Father. When I saw it, it brought back, it's like I had deja vu immediately. It brought me back to the moment and time and that joyous moment when I got it. Okay. It speaks for itself. It has the Congress stamps on it. It has everything on it. It has a youthful picture of I that I don't even remember myself being that young.
Oh my, yeah, you imagine.
This card, it states clearly in it that in 1992, 1st of August, I was made a member of the Black Christ Parliament. See, that means that I was one of the first Parliament members seated as a Parliament member. No, I don't hold that as anything, you know, because what I'm saying now is that until the Parliament is seated, we were nominated. We have not taken our seat yet because we have not pledged our allegiance to the Congress and to the office to assume our role. There's a process to all of these things, you know. We're not playing Dolly House, it's not cowboy and Indian, this, you know. This is we are an official priesthood order. This is an official Congress that has official protocols, okay? And in taking your office as a parliamentarian, you are nominated, yes. But then you have to be, for the lack of a better word, sworn in. You have to be legitimized. You have to be legitimized by a ceremony wherein which you make your pledge to the Congress and to the duties of your office.
And that never happened?
That has never happened for nobody. For no one. Absolutely no one. So none of us has been seated officially. So we can beat our chests all we want. We are not anything more than we are. What we need to do now as elders, the elder group that is still alive, who have walked with the Father, and even some of the young elders that came immediately after the Father's transition, because they have earned their right through longevity, needs to sit and take the role and go through the role and try to seat now the Parliament, see who is still alive, who is competent, who is available, who is willing to volunteer. We need to make this assessment and seat an official Parliament, an impartial Parliament. You can call your friends to be a part of the Parliament because that gives you voting power and gives you a totalitarian authority. That is not what this is about.
So the Parliament that's on the Parliament that we know now, I think is eabic.org. Isn't that made up of members of that elected Parliament of that time?
Some. And I'm not. And you're not there. I'm not coming out against them per se.
So why are you not a part of it?
I'm coming out against the principle, okay, is what I'm talking about right now. The principle of a Parliament being seated is not for self-proclaimed people to take charge. It is for us as a family to decide, and it is decided. It's not, even if you are called to the Parliament or nominated from back then, and in that past 30 years that the Father has transitioned, your works have been nasty, your works have been less than a priest and whatever. You don't qualify to be reseated. You can't, precise that we have to be realistic. It can't be because just the Father call you.
I hear you.
Why? And it's like you have a seat for life. It's like a permanent seat for the Father. If you are in fraction, if you are in fraction of the law, if you have done things that have shown the Congress and the Liberty in a bad light, it is up to the congregation to decide whether they want to accept you as their representative, because that's what a parliamentarian is. You are representing the people. In Babylon, you are considered what they call a civil servant. It's a servant role, it's a service role. You are there to serve the people's will. So as a parliamentarian, serving serving the will of the Father, see, if your liberty is not of the standard at this present time to be reseated, you don't qualify to be reseated, Aya. See, and this is where the Council of Elders come in, where they would sit now as ones who have proven themselves through liberty to look at the role and make, you know, the selection, election, whatever the process they want to use to get the parliament seated.
Okay, so let me ask you. So if there's a parliament, the same parliament that I believe was the one that would have reached out to the same Honorable Priest Paul with some level of, I guess, you know, disdain to some actions that he took. What I'm saying, okay, if they're considered an authority unto themselves, what effect does it have beyond that, unless those beyond it give them that power? Why I'm saying this is that
what you're saying is that a member of parliament has to have a constituency. If you don't have constituency,
right.
If you don't have who are you representing as a member of parliament, that is exactly what you, and that is what I'm alluding to.
But where does the headquarters stand on this? Because I mean, it seems like two different things, headquarters and this parliament here. To the point that
headquarters them is yet to define themselves as well. They're in transition as well. The headquarters just here in Jamaica is just seating our elders council now. I get to understand. I am looking forward, as soon as I get my vehicle on the road, to go up one of these Sabbath, spend the Sabbath and be there for the Sunday elders council reasoning, so I can see what function, you know, and how it functions, and see if it's something worth the interest of I and I. If it's worth the interest, I would say that all of the rest of I and I as elders need to know, even if you can't come to the camp, find a way to link with the elders council so our voices can be heard and we can be part of the decision-making process of the reestablishment of the parliament and the function of the camp. It's not, and it's not rocket science. It's not, you know,
no, not at all.
Technology affords us all kind of things right now. See, you and I are on a Zoom. Yes. Same way the council can be in session on the hill, and they have a device to have a Zoom link up with the different groups, different branches, representative being on the Zoom and being able to make our report to them, even though we are not there in person. And that now gives them authority, because now we are reporting to an entity that empowers that entity now to make decisions. That's how empowerment and validation is done.
Positive.
Yeah, and this is transparent. That is the whole thing, you know. With the parliament that exists, it's transparency in everything, you know. I don't care who it is, you know. And yes, we care, because like we said, the person has to be of a standard. But if a process is being put in place to represent a nation of people, the people need to know about the process and be able to see that process clearly, transparently. See? So what they did the other day, in sending that ball on Priest Paul or brass keeper. Originally, all right, I will sit on the sideline and go and watch the thing, you know. Okay. No, I'm not align myself to them kind of attitudes there. Because no, the Brethren has called for mediation. The Brethren has not run from it. The Brethren is not a bandit hiding anywhere or doing anything sinister. Ones and ones may not agree with him for whatever reasons. Sort that out. The Father set a protocol in which we're supposed to sort out our differences, you understand, before the Sabbath, before the sun go down, all these different things that we set that we never live to. but we need to sort it out. Now the man called for mediation. Instead of sending a person or a group there to weigh the different sides of the truth and come to the truth itself. See, you take a side without knowing all the information because they have not reasoned with the brethren. They attack the brethren and expect that when you attack the brethren and you try to deal with him, he's just going to be, every man a lion, every man have pride there. Every man a lion, every man have pride there. So every man go and defend them pride, Rasta. See, as brethren is how we deal with one another, how you talk to one another. You can't be accusatory when you're trying to ascertain information. If you know, then you know, so you don't need to talk to him, you just hand down judgment. But if you're trying to ascertain information, you have to deal with your brother as your brother until you find out that he's wrong. Then you can tell him say him wrong and hand down the judgment.
Naturally,
See, these are the things that we need to learn. What is called conflict resolution, mediation, all of these things as a Congress we have to learn because that's what part of the role of a Congress.
These things like we reach, you know, it's like trying to it's like putting milk in coffee and then trying to take the milk back out, you know. That's the kind of stage we are at, really. It's almost like I was just throw in the coffee and brew a new cup. It may sound harsh, because, okay, so like you say, conflict resolution. You know, if you're in a relationship, even with your children, with your wife, spouse, whatever, you know, these things take time. It takes a lot of practice. It takes work. It takes counseling. You know, if you're an alcoholic, first you have to admit you're an alcoholic or you're not going to move. So you can superimpose those, you know, individual principles to a group like I and I. I mean, trust me, King, that's gonna be very. I don't think we just like to argue and you know.
Okay, so it's where the work is. That's where the work lies.
Even in Rasta in general, too, you know, what kind of energy there? The thing. You know,
I just said that I want to share something. I'm on a thread right now. With a Zoom conference with the Rastafari family. Dealing with a project here where the Bank of Jamaica Limited seeks to use the word IRI in their virtual money, which they are to launch shortly. So in going to JIPRO, Jamaica Intellectual Property Rights Authority, to register the name, JIPRO refused to register the name and told them that they have to come and work it out with the Rastafari movement and get permission to use the name first before they can register it. Now, this is not the first entity that have sought to use Rasta paraphernalia and images in their thing and come upon this approach by JIPRO, where JIPRO refuses to be a party to the robbing of the Rastafari IP rights.
Right.
So they are always telling them that you have to go and get permission. This is the first entity that has come now and has really sought permission, you know, which I take my hat off and say kudos to them because they have come now and they have sought permission from I and I, the Rastafari movement, to use the word, and they are at a table of negotiation right now. First, they reached out to the Bingi House, who are the what you would say, the keepers, the owners of that word. You know?
The custodians of Irie.
The word, thank you, my brother. The custodians of the word. They reached out to them. Mosiah personally got the call from the bank, and he, in telling them that he could not make a sole decision, would have to reason with his house. He reasoned with the house. And the house said, okay, he's free to negotiate with the bank and see what the bank wants and find out all the specifics. So he went ahead and did his fact finding. Now the bank wants to use the word as the name for their name, IRM, I think it is, their virtual dollar to be used locally in Jamaica.
Yes,
and they are willing to. Well, the Bingi House placed certain requests to them, like as part of the deal for them to repair like certain buildings and certain sacred scholarships scholarships for youth them to go to school and things like that. Well, the bank at this time said that there was a scholarship program which I would have to go through the normal channels to achieve, and that they were not willing to take on the repair of any buildings at this time. But what was on the table at the time was a $5,000 offer, $5,000 offer. So they said because of the request and they are unable to fulfill those requests, we the Rastafari movement, put up the request on the funding. So the Brethren requested 10,000. They said they couldn't make the 10,000, but they agreed to 8,000. So 8,000 is where the negotiations have stopped. And the Brethren them now have the Bingy house, which again, I have to say respect is due to them. They have brought in all the main Rastafari groups and mansions here to discuss it and to share it with them. They are not looking to benefit alone. They have brought in all of I and I to the table, and we are discussing the contract. They have shared the contract. It's shared on the screen while we are on the Zoom. And it's ones from all over that I see come on the Zoom there. All of the brand name, them representatives from the different houses, you know, man like Ashes from 12th Tribe and Mama Nani from the Coral Garden Benevolent Society, and I have V from the Bingy House, and Lamont from the house, and yeah, you know, all kinds of ones there at the table.
Well, let me say now, even in the interest of time, there are two main things I want to touch with the eye quickly. But even on that case there, you know, I listening, but I know the eye would know, I mean, well, I'm glad it got through like that, but eight grand, I mean.
Yeah, well, you're the thing now, 8 grand over a 9-year period. It's an annual thing. It's not a one-time thing. It's an annual thing.
Every year they give it 8 grand.
Yes, and then also at the end of the 9-year contract, there's a clause in there to renegotiate. And if the dollars is doing great, we have the option to up the ante, up the request. So it's a decent enough.
I would want to be here. I mean,
offer for right now.
I hear you know.
What I want, let me end the project with. Let me end the song with.
It's we supposed to be making 8 grand a day. As I and I.
Yeah, you know what I was coming to do, my lad. You know what I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
It's about the precedence of this thing. The precedence where this is the first entity has ever approached Rastafari for the right to use our imagery. The Chinese, everybody's pirating it, and nobody has approached us. And we have had no way to retrieve it legally until now. This will, by this, if we go ahead with it, it will set the precedence for us now to approach other entities that are pirating our imagery. See, and achieve from them benefits as well. And as well, it now puts us in the position to secure Rastafari IP rights.
I get that part, Bishop. Yes. So even if it was $1, it's not that it's all right, but you know that you're gonna benefit just from this work.
Yeah.
I get
long term.
Yeah, I got it. All right. Well, yeah, it sounds a little bit different than 8 grand, you know. Even if it was a year, I was still, but I get you. I get it fully. Okay,
yeah, man, that's what everybody's so taken back when they hear the 8 grand, but when they hear it explained out, because
right.
IP Rasta lawyer them, you know, it's the IP Rasta lawyer them that's dealing with the negotiations right now. You understand? So it's professionals that are doing it. It's not just some little man doing it, and they are doing it by using a value system and all of that. So, you know, we're confident in them because trust have to start somewhere. So we're trusting that they have learned and they are using their expertise now to assist in the best way.
Two things I want to ask there about. I want to ask there about the word sound from Jab Bunny and Bongo Eddie passed in 1970. Hold on. But before that, since you're already on Ras Ivy and that, I want to ask you of your whole outlook. Enough people ask me to talk about this, you know, but I mean, I can't talk about what I don't fully know about it. So I don't know if you could give us a little outlook on what you think with the situation with the Marleys and the Bingy house, and even that relationship to even BOBO Shanti camp.